I played Star Wars Outlaws for almost 2 hours and I have many thoughts, especially because it felt like Ubisoft was holding back on the things that will make this game stand out. Now if you're curious, of course leave a like, that would really help me out. But first, the sponsor of this video, the brand new free RPG Terra's Land that is out right now. Create your own character, select one of 9 classes that all have 2 specializations that you can switch between at any time. There's a huge open world to explore with puzzles, quests and way more activities. I love to focus on dungeon and raid encounters against huge bosses like the Blight Dragon, who has many signature attacks, and all these bosses require some strategy to take out. So it's important to focus on your unique build with a deep and flexible talent tree that lets you change things whenever you want without any cost. There's also a dungeon tournament going on right now where you can only get free rewards for signing up and of course other prizes if you really participate. The game launched today on PC and mobile with crossplay and cross progression between both platforms, so totally check Terra's Land for free via the special link in the video description. That would really support the channel as well, so thanks for that, and now let's get back into it. Now I could explore the different urban environments, which was great and nice change of pace from the pretty linear missions that I experienced, because there was quite a lot to do in Mirogana, the first city I went to. From mini-games like the sort of Space Invader type cabinet we saw, there were also other arcade games like this, but the highlight was totally Sabak, that I want to touch on a bit later. There were also shops for outfits or shops linked to particular factions in the city. The higher your rank with that faction, the more exclusive items you can buy. There's a ship mechanic that lets you change the look of your ship or upgrade or select different weapons. And overall, the ship exploration and combat feels pretty good. So thanks to having a shield and different weaponry that you have to use at the right time, there totally seems to be some much needed depth. You can help ships in need and then get some credits, encounter ships from other factions who will help you get rid of the TIE fighters that are hunting you, or maybe they will help the Empire instead to take you down. In the short time I spent in space, there were already some interesting things, and yes, seeing that landing sequence from orbit to planet for the first time is pretty awesome. They really want to keep you into the action in Outlaws without unnecessary loading screens. And it's really cool to land on one of these new planets. There are multiple of these settlements and cities on every planet, and I think exploring them for the first time will be really cool. And inside these towns and cities we can also find faction bases that we have to infiltrate. And they obviously won't allow you to enter through the front door, so in this case I had to look for a shaft nearby that I could crawl through to enter the restricted area. Like, stealth is a proper option in Star Wars Outlaws, and it was really fun to use Nix, who could play dead, to distract the enemy so you could easily take them out. It's cool that these moves use the environment, like you can pull someone over cover and knock them out, but still, it feels like these takedowns overall kinda lack any impact compared to say a hidden blade kill. Maybe a bit weird, but I really worried for Kay her fist, because she's punching all these bad guys with basically her bare hands, including stormtroopers and droids, and that must hurt. Like, we did see her use the electro shock prop to take out death troopers. Would have been cool to have that as like your standard stealth device, or maybe a metal glove or something that would make these stealth and melee takedowns more realistic. And I think it's good that Star Wars Outlaws releases before Assassin's Creed Shadows. Like, that game of course finally adds some new features to the familiar Ubisoft stealth gameplay of the recent years, and I just so far missed the surprising elements a bit in Star Wars Outlaws. Like, it really seems that Nix has to carry this stealth system on his tiny shoulders. He can do a pulse to scan the environment, grab enemies so you can more easily do a stealth takedown without them alerting the whole camp, and he can also steal items from enemies like a keycard needed to infiltrate a locked room. You could also enter that room by doing the lockpick minigame, by the way, so there were multiple ways to go about it. This minigame totally requires some trial and error, by the way, as you have to figure out the interval of the lights and sound and then mimic that by hitting a button at the same time. It can be quite stressful because the game continues in the background, so enemies can spot you when you're trying to lockpick a door. Again, I'm not sold on the stealth features in this game yet. Would have been cool if the blaster could be used. Right now though, the moment you shoot, the whole area will know you are here. Now the shooting does feel great though, very comparable to EA's Star Wars Battlefront games that I played mostly in third person anyways, like it has the same reload mechanic as well that rewards skill, so you can immediately start shooting again if you time it right. But also here, I wonder if it's going to be enough. Like I could play with an upgraded K who already had all the 3 options of her blaster unlocked, which included the regular shot, the electronic ion shots that can stun regular enemies so you can run up to them for a melee takedown. It can nuke the shield of stormtroopers or let droids blow up, stunning surrounding enemies, so totally smart to switch to these electric bullets when the opportunity presents itself. The third and final blaster option, a charged shot, has to be unlocked first, and we got some footage of this. It's basically a single target nuke, and again you have to charge it up first before you can use it. And we got the sort of dead eye ability in the bottom right corner, deal damage to enemies to charge this up, and then when it's available, mark different targets and then shoot them all down in one go. It does have the satisfying Red Dead animation, as you do not see K like really aim at every enemy, but it is just as powerful. And apart from that, you have some tools like grenades and quite a lot of weapons you can pick up from the enemies, like the minigun from the before mentioned trooper. The sniper K is using is also a weapon she can pick up. There are rifles, like I found a ton just laying around in the environment or in gun racks. The problem is that you pick these up and then always throw them away after using them. I like the feeling of getting stronger, finding weapons and then keeping them, making a playstyle around them, but in Star Wars Outlaws you will only carry your blaster at all times and then are dependent on what type of other weapons you find in the environment you are currently infiltrating. And this is to keep the game challenging, according to the creative director, which he thinks makes the game more fun for people. Really hard to say if this will be the case after playing for almost 2 hours, although it is of course a fact that only having a blaster while infiltrating a highly guarded camp will be quite the challenge. And what I also noticed is that K is super squishy. Like you really have to take cover and approach a gunfight with the necessary caution. Take a few hits and it's over, which is a fun twist versus the other Star Wars games. But I still hope there will be a sense of growth, that after 20 hours you do feel like a stronger and more capable K, and that exploration will still be rewarding, even though we won't find any new weapons that we can keep. Now new outfits is something you can find, and it luckily has more depth than say the Jedi games. There are 3 pieces of equipment that all have 1 perk. On the chest you can find things like increasing the ammo for weapons you would pick up, so you can use them for longer before throwing them away. But also defensive perks, like reducing damage taken from blaster and projectile weapons. There was a waist gear piece with a perk that would reduce your stun shot cooldown, which is pretty good, because the stun shot allows you to instantly take out an enemy, but then you have to wait a bit before you can use it again. And boots had perks like increasing your crouched movement speed, that would also let you move more silently, or reducing your damage while crouched, rolling or sliding. And that roll in particular is very satisfying, by the way, so totally something that will be smart to use. Next to the 3 equipment slots, there were also amulets as an equipment piece with a perk on it. It all reminded me a bit of Far Cry 6, so nothing too big, but it would still allow you to tweak your playstyle a bit. We should also be able to upgrade armor pieces, and there will be set bonuses when wearing particular gear sets. Like every faction has one of these outfits that you can buy after reaching the max reputation with them. So that will totally be a fun reward to chase. But you have to make choices, as it will be really hard to have a good reputation with all the syndicates, at least at the same time. There will namely be many decisions that enhance your stance with one faction, but at the same time will impact your relationship with another. But I sadly could not see the system in action yet. Like, I want to know if this really changes the outcome of a quest, because it feels like this is where Star Wars Outlaws can really shine. Like, we know that if you screw over a syndicate a couple of times, they will get angry and send a hit squad to hunt you down in the open world. This next to the wanted system with the Empire that even has TIE fighters appear close to planet service. With the highest wanted status probably evolving some ATSTs. Like, the dynamic nature is what I wanted to experience, to see the impact of your choices. Instead, I could explore an old shipwreck, which was pretty cool, but a very linear Uncharted Tomb Raider-like experience, where you use your grapple hook to swing from climbable surface to climbable surface. There was one climbing puzzle testing your agility, as points that you could hold on to would close every now and then, so you had to figure out how to get higher up. And of course, at the end of the mission, the shipwreck would completely explode, so I had to get out. Like, these cinematic moments are awesome and cool that they are also in Star Wars Outlaws, but I've experienced these moments before in other single-player Star Wars games. It was not what I was curious about from the first open-world Star Wars title. Now again, I could play Sabak, although we also don't have really a lot of footage of this yet, and you need to do this activity to unlock some of Lando's abilities, and it's really a ton of fun. You have to match 2 cards, and the lower the better, but only the final round matters. So you have to play it smart to increase your chances that you win that final round. And then you win the table and get a nice reward. I think they are just credits that you get. And there are also special cheats that you can do. Like, you can let Nix check the cards from your opponent to see if you would at least beat them. Like, it's a really fun activity. Especially after watching that Ubisoft Forward gameplay, I just want to get lost in this world. It seems that they really nailed that Star Wars feel. It was already one of the most polished Ubisoft games that I ever played, even though it's not out yet. But I still don't know if this open world Star Wars fantasy is going to deliver, because all I played were linear levels that really did nothing new, nothing special. But I totally think there is something here, so I hope we get like another hands-on so I can tell you about it before launch to really get a proper feel of what the gameplay loop with like sitting down playing this for 5 hours, what that will really be like. So subscribe for way more Star Wars Outlaws content, a like on the video would really help me out, and check out our previous video with way more gameplay details by clicking on the screen. I will speak to you soon, goodbye!